I'm Denise Galoni. Welcome to today's episode of Empowering You. My guest today is Sandra Lane of Organization Lane. Sandra is a professional organizer. She will empower and inspire you to start to clear that clutter from your mind and also maybe your home or your office to be more productive. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Sandra Lane started her company, Organization Lane, in 2010 with the goal of helping residential and business clients clear out the clutter so they can better focus on what matters most. In 2019, she released her book, Ask the Organizer, to help as many people as possible to organize their work, home, and life. Today, she has shifted her focus to speaking and coaching. She speaks virtually and in person at corporate events, as well as local and national conference venues. Her topic focus is elevating your productivity, time management, and organization. Her message is based on the premise that work and home are connected. So if you improve productivity at work, it will improve the quality of life outside of work. Welcome, Sandra. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm delighted to be here, Denise. Thank you.
What a great time to talk about this.
Yes, I think that productivity is a subject that always is top of mind for a lot of folks, not only today, but always.
Yes. So let's start. How did you get involved in organization?
Well, it is an innate skill that I feel I've been given by God as a gift of some sorts. And I used my business acumen from school and work and combined the two together. It was birthed at a time that my kids didn't need me as much during those middle school years, and I thought I'd really like to do something that I enjoy, and organizing was something I did that I loved for myself and some friends, and I thought, well, maybe I can make a business out of it. Honestly, it was a hobby at first, a side hustle, because my primary focus was volunteering and raising my children, and it really flourished into a business, a full-fledged business that I enjoyed doing for 10 full years, that hands-on work. And then it shifted during the pandemic.
Sure.
The pandemic, like with most people, gave me an opportunity to reset, that's the big buzzword, and reflect and make a shift. So while I still speak and write and coach in the area of organizing, that hands-on physical work that is involved is no longer a part of my business. And now the focus is really on what is it that we can do to be more productive and organized and manage our time better so that we can really focus on what matters most. And oftentimes it's usually, your partner, your spouse, your family, your self-care. And it's what started my interest in business, is to help others, and I'm continuing to do that, but with a different focus.
Right. And it's so important, organization, not only just to be organized so things you're more productive and things work well, but it really affects you when things are disorganized. Do you
It
find that?
does. Absolutely. It absolutely does. And you know what? It's a subtle nudge. A lot of people necessarily don't see that right away,
Right.
but once they've solved that piece of the puzzle, then they suddenly recognize, like, wow, that was really getting in my way. I didn't realize those piles of paper on my desk were such a
Yes.
distraction to me visually.
Right.
I didn't realize that not having a list of what I was planning to do for the day, or a schedule of what I was going to do, was really important. I just kept it all in my head. I didn't realize that having my phone on my desk and answering every email when it popped up was a problem. Yes, absolutely, it makes an impact.
Yes. And it seems like it really everything's fine. Then all of a sudden you have one little pile, then you have two little piles, then you're walking around things trying to get to your desk, or your second bedroom turns into a storage room. So what tips do you have? People that may be watching, Sandra, are
Mhm.
thinking, yes. How do they get started? How does one even, like, it's so overwhelming to look around and think, okay, I know I have to do this, but how can you just give us like a couple like really quick steps? How do you get started?
Sure. So I'm all about starting small. I think that oftentimes we look at the mass of whatever our
Yes.
problem or project is, and it's overwhelming to us. Well, you don't have to deal with the whole thing all at once. Let's take a step back and just make a small impact. Enjoy that small success because no matter how small your step is towards working on that project, it is a step towards success. And
Right.
we need to embrace that. It just has to be small. So I like to say one drawer, one closet, one shelf at a time.
Okay, that's more manageable.
Right? Isn't it though?
It
But
is.
you just work on one of those things and then it will lead to another and another and another. And I also believe that working in small blocks of time is important because
Okay.
there's a lot of mental and physical fatigue that can come along with this kind of project work. You're making a lot of decisions, and there's a lot of moving of all this stuff that you're working on, and
Yes.
that can really exhaust you more than you think. And you don't want your decision making to be impacted. You don't want to reflect after your work is over on, I really shouldn't have let that go. You really want to be of clear sound mind when you're making some of these choices. So really working in 1 to 2 hour increments every day is a lot better than
Mhm.
consuming your entire weekend.
And I think that's what I do. Okay, I'm gonna spend this weekend, I'm gonna clean the garage. And
Mhm.
you think, oh, a whole weekend now I'm gonna be in the garage. So I do like that, little blocks of time.
Yeah, who wants to do that, especially when the weekend turns out to be nice in Pittsburgh?
No one wants to do
Can't
that.
turn that away.
Right. Nobody wants to do that. So I mentioned you wrote your book, Ask the Organizer.
Ask the organizer. Yeah, and I wrote the book in the same way that I described how you can approach the work that you have on a project. It's a Q&A format.
Yes, I
When I
love that.
Thank you. When I started my business, I was approached by the local paper to do a, Q&A format of organizing questions, that dilemmas that most
Great.
families have to face. So I continued with that format in this book because it's so easy to read, to start and stop at any question and work on the question at hand.
Right.
It's one junk drawer, one section of your closet, just the shoes, just a bookshelf, right? That's how I've approached the book as well.
Very easy to read. Again, you don't have to sit down and read it cover to cover. You can look at this section if you have issues with your kitchen. There's the kitchen section or office,
Right.
which leads me to my next question. A lot of us are working from home now. So now our offices, it's hard to be productive because our offices maybe get messy or maybe we don't have an office. Maybe we're working on our dining room table. So it's all kinds of craziness going on right now. Sandra, how do you organize your day to be productive? Because I think, especially working from home, it seems like I get up, I go to work, I eat dinner, I go back to bed, I start the whole thing over. It's just one big circle, and I don't feel productive. What steps can you give people that are watching that may be feeling the same thing?
Sure. Well, everybody's scenario is a little different in terms of the office space that they have, the
Right.
size of their home, the dynamics of their family. There are a few components that are mainstays for setting yourself up for success if you're
Yes.
still working from home, or even if you just want to get out the door and get to work. So,
Right. Right.
one of the first things that I always like to suggest is do what you can to prepare yourself or your family the night before. A
Okay.
lot of your jump start for the day really happens in the preparation the night before, I believe, because while they may only take a few minutes to do each of these tasks in the morning, it's just remarkable how fast that morning slips away from us.
Oh, yes.
So, what can you do the night before? So, some examples. Can you set up your coffee maker the night before? So, all you have to do is hit brew.
Mm,
The dinner that you're planning, for that day? Can you put the ingredients inside the crock pot and then just have to plug it in? Can you get your kids backpacks, instrument, soccer clothes, permission slips signed, all waiting at the door? So they just have to grab it and go. Clothes for the kids the night before. If you have kids that really fuss over what they're going to wear and it requires a little bit more time, do it the night before. And that includes your own clothes too, if you're heading
Oh my
out,
goodness, yes.
right?
So how many
preparing
times
the
I
night
see him from the
before-
closet and look.
Exactly. Preparing the night before is huge. That can really save you a lot of time and allow you to maybe even be relaxed in the morning, be more present while you're enjoying that cup of coffee with your kids at the table, or just thinking about the day ahead. Kind of centers you a little better if you've got a lot of those little things taken care of before you actually start your day. So preparing the night before is huge.
Right, right.
Another tip that I will also share is if you are working from home, is do your best to create an office space that really works for you and serves you.
Mhm.
If you have it available to you, ideally, it would be great if you could put a door between you and what's happening outside in the rest of your house, right?
Right.
So that, kind of focuses you, cuts off a lot of the distractions, good lighting so you're not straining your eyes, a good chair that kind of goes up and
Mhm.
down.
Right.
And of course, a cleared workspace. Make sure that your workspace is cleared and affords you the room that you need and as little distraction to get in your way. I tell you, one upgrade that I did for myself during the pandemic was I got myself retrofitted with a stand-up desk. So
Okay.
I can stand on occasion, so I'm not sitting the entire time throughout the workday. And that has been so helpful to me, and I highly recommend it. They do say that you should stand for at least 15 minutes of an hour of sitting, and it has been wonderful for me. So I
Oh,
love doing
good.
that. Another thing that I would love to suggest for those folks that are still working from home is to do what you can to be proactive about interruptions and distractions. They can
Oh, good.
really get in the way of your productivity during the day. So, in a nutshell, what I can say about whatever distractions or interruptions you're dealing with, what can you do to satisfy them, eliminate them, or set boundaries? Those are the golden rules for me when it comes to interruptions or distractions. They'll be different for everybody. It might be a colleague that interrupts you at work unannounced, or it may be your child knocking on the door in your office, or it could be the notification pings from your phone or your computer. It can
Right.
also be something internal. Maybe you're dealing with a sleepless night. You're
Mhm.
tired, or your chair is not comfortable and it's creating some back issues for you. So, whatever that may be, what can you do to satisfy, eliminate, and set boundaries for those interruptions and distractions?
Sandra, when you were doing, again, hands-on, one-on-one, what were some of the common issues that you saw?
Oh, well, I would have to say that the decision making of letting stuff into the house,
Yes.
and I like to encourage my clients to consider a one in, one out rule. So if we are
Okay.
constantly deciding to keep everything that comes in, that's what creates that pile, because we're not reevaluating what we currently have. And, if you want to do a one for one, that would certainly keep what you have at a status quo at a level that's manageable, right? So
Okay.
there was an excess. In answer to your question, the short answer is there's an excess of what we have in every
Gotcha.
area of
Right.
our home, whether it's books,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
papers, shoes, purses, you name it, kitchen gadgets. But if we practiced a one in, one out rule, once we got ourselves edited and you purged what you had, practicing that one in, one out rule is a great answer for moving forward. Really evaluate what's coming in and can you release something that is from that same category.
Yeah. And sometimes that's hard because we think, well,
Very hard.
it's not broken and I may need it. And why would I buy a new one 5 years from now when I have this one?
Exactly. It's very hard. And what's really, really difficult are those sentimental items.
Yeah.
right? Items that are passed down from family members on generations to come. A lot of people don't know what to do with the stuff, whether it's, a um, hand stitched doily, which, is not very current and contemporary for a lot of
Right.
people, or it's a silverware or china set. Um, they are important decisions that are difficult to make, that tug at your heartstrings. And that really is a struggle for a lot of people, which is why it's always, I think, helpful to have an impartial friend assist you with those difficult decisions, or a professional organizer to assist you as well, because there's lots of ways that you can go about making that choice.
And I did read in your book that you said whenever you're going through something, have three piles. Can you
Right.
talk about the three piles? Can you talk about the three piles?
Sure. So there's going to be a pile that you keep. There might be a pile that you have to store and put away because it's not an active item. And then there'll be a pile for donate. And I always believe that you should have a bag or a box for donate running all the time. As
Right.
you go through life, it doesn't have to be that big day that you plan to edit a
Hmm.
space in your house. Just always keep it available to you to fill. You might put on a sweater or pants and you thought to yourself, you know what, this is just not working anymore and it never will work. Well, instead of hanging it back up, put it in
Right.
that donate box, right?
Right.
Or maybe you read a book that you were dissatisfied with and you don't want to pass it on, put it in the box for donate.
That's so true. Because if I pull something out of my closet, I think I don't want this. I should donate it. I'll just hang it back up there until I go to donate those things.
Right. Right. This is another way that kind of, eases that whole process of maintaining what you have. Just keep that running pile of donate available to you and to all your family members. Let them know that this is where you can put it. And when they go through that same process in their own room or space in the house, they
Mhm.
have a place to put it. Otherwise, it will go back on the shelf or on the rod.
Well, I'm glad it's just not me.
Yes, no, it's definitely not just you.
Not just me. Well, that's good. That's good. You talked about time blocks. How important are having time blocks on your calendar for things?
I love time blocking. It is how I live my life, and it is a tool that I suggest for a lot of my clients,
Can you
particularly when
explain
you,
what
yes,
it is?
absolutely. So time blocking is designating a certain amount of time, a beginning and end time that you are going to work on a specific task. And
Okay.
it's very different than a to-do list. A to-do list is a list of what you're going to do. A time blocked day is what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. So,
Okay.
what I think time blocking does for so many of us is it puts up guardrails and boundaries for
Right.
your day. It says when you're going to start and when you're going to stop. And in order to really fulfill your tasks for the day, you need to follow that schedule. You don't have time to be wishy washy about what you're going to do next. It is telling you what you're going to do next. And I
Okay.
think one of the most successful tools when you're time blocking your day is to manage those distractions, because they will interrupt that time block that you have if you allow them. Right? Suddenly you
Right.
don't have 2 hours to do your writing. Now you've been interrupted by this email that is, calling you, and you've stopped what
Right.
you're doing. So you really need to set those parameters in advance when it comes to those distractions and interruptions. Otherwise, your time block day could really go off the rails. So I love time blocking. You can incorporate your personal life into time blocking. So if you want to schedule your workout time in the morning, your breakfast time with kids, and then your workday begins, that's all good. And
Okay.
then you can even schedule, most importantly, when you're going to leave your office. Because this is something that I think a lot of folks struggle with, is that now that my office is at home, it's accessible 24/7,
It's true.
and it can bleed into your home life. And that is really counterproductive to what you want to do, right? You want to be able to start and end your day in your office and then walk away so you can spend time with your family. So make sure that your time blocked day includes when the day is going to end, and honor that.
Okay. And you mentioned to-do lists. How important are to-do lists?
Well, I like a to do list to capture what's going on in our head. A mental clutter is a problem that I think we have today. You know, we store a lot of stuff in our head, errands, and I have to remember to buy this, and I have to remember to do this and tell so and so that. But our brains are not a filing cabinet. We can't access that information at will. Sometimes it will get lost. So
Right.
I love using a to-do list at the very least as a capturing tool.
Okay.
And there's lots of ways you can go. You can go old school with writing it down, which is
Mhm.
what I prefer.
I do too. I thought I can cross it off.
I love the satisfaction of crossing it off. And you know what? There is a biological a need to do that because we release endorphins when that happens, which is why a lot of people may do something and then put it on their to-do list just so that they could cross it off. Anybody do that out there?
We're not going to admit to that.
And then there's electronic to-do lists. You
Right.
know, if you are more of a techie person and you prefer that, there are
Sure.
plenty of them out there. Always new ones being added in terms of getting that mental clutter out of your head and putting it down somewhere else so that you increase your chances of it getting done rather than storing it in your head.
I started about 6 months ago. I would usually like once a week, normally Sunday night, I would just do a brain dump. What all do I need to get done? And it may not be that week, it may be 3 weeks from now, but I just write it down. And I do feel a little bit better mentally because I know I don't have to keep reminding myself, okay, in 3 weeks, I need to take the car to get the oil changed. It's on my list.
Right. Right. And you know what? That's a great point that I would like to also mention, Denise. You're doing good by your brain by
Right.
releasing all that information. And today we have tools that really make it easy to not forget things like the oil
Sure.
change,
Right.
right? Put a reminder in your phone that gives
Mhm.
you that little ding and that nudge, right? I do that with dentist appointments that repeat yearly so I don't have to think about it again, right? The oil change, the mammogram, any of those appointments that come up yearly or biannually, let your technology assist. Use it in that way to really help you so you can take the pressure off yourself to have to remember.
That's awesome. So what's next for Sandra Lane?
Well, I am continuing to develop my professional speaking business and work with individuals to help them with their productivity. I love partnering with women who are struggling in that area and holding them accountable and working together to help them meet their goals. And I look forward to what the future brings.
Any final words for our audience?
I would have to say, go easy on yourself. I
Ah,
think that there's a lot of pressure to perform, and I think progress in any shape is is something to be relished and embraced and achieved, and that is a step in the direction that you want to go, then enjoy that.
Sandra, you gave such great advice. And I feel so much better knowing that I can just do one drawer at a time and still feel like I'm making progress instead of taking the whole weekend to try to do my office, which I plan on doing this weekend. So that makes me feel so much better
Good
that I
for
can relax a
you.
little bit.
Good for
And,
you.
and it's not just me.
It is not just you. And we have a beautiful day today. So promise me you're not going to spend it all in your office.
Oh, I could probably promise you that because after about an hour, I'll be
Good.
done.
Good.
I'll be done. And I think it's really important for everybody to realize that it's easy, like you said, one in, one out. I think that's so easy to do, and it just makes it. I love that. I also love keeping that donate box handy. That's
Yeah,
I'm gonna start that right away.
I think that that just sort of sets the tone with everybody in the house to consistently keep charities in mind. If you have something that you're not using, is unwanted, doesn't fit, doesn't work for you anymore, it has a place to go. It does not have to go back on the shelf. Put it in this box.
Right, because there's a lot of charities too that would love some of that.
Absolutely, including our own churches. There's a lot of
Yes.
churches, if you belong to a church, that do rummage sales a few times a year. Think about them as well as other national organizations.
Yeah. So clear your home, clear your mind, clear the clutter, and you'll be more productive.
Absolutely. Yay. Woohoo.
Thank you so much, Sandra, for taking the time to speak with the audience and give your advice. Thank you so much.
I appreciate the time with you, Denise. Thank you.
Thank you for watching today's episode of Empowering You. I'd like to thank my guest, Sandra Lane of Organization Lane. Sandra gave tremendous tips on how to organize your home, your office, and clear some of the clutter in your mind as well. With her strategies, you can start small by clearing out one drawer or one closet at a time and organize yourself. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and see you next time.